The cane swinging, EC Dub, EC Dub, cigarette smoking, EC Dub, EC Dub, EC Dub, beer chugging, EC Dub, EC Dub, EC Dub, hardcore icon, EC Dub, EC Dub, the Sandman. Is the Sandman on the Mount Rushmore of Extreme Championship Wrestling talents? Decide in the comments. Now to it. I'm John Renton with my review, Dark Side of the Ring. Enter Sandman, legacy of a hardcore icon. Let me know your thoughts on this show in the comments, please. Next week is the season finale, possibly the series finale of Dark Side of the Ring, because we don't know what the future is for Vice. And I don't know how many more subjects they got for Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, I hope it continues because I enjoy this show. And speaking of Vice, in June, they are going to have Who Killed WCW, a 4-part series where I'm sure no revisionist history will happen. And everybody's just going to pass the buck off and not admit that they were part of the problem. That being said, the Sandman. Look, for those that are longtime subscribers to my channel, thank you very much, by the way. You know how I feel about ECW. When it was good, when it was really good, I enjoyed it. And they did deliver a lot of great moments, a lot of memorable moments. RVD, Jerry Lynn, Dave Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, they let Shane Douglas basically swear on promos and then do mediocre work in the ring. He was a much better tag team worker than he was a singles wrestler, my personal opinion. Bam Bam Bigelow, Taz, Sabu and Taz, RVD, Rob Van Dam, all the people that they gave chances to, there were some great moments. The thing about ECW, though, and then I'm going to get off of this and talk about the Sandman, is it's also an example of Paul Heyman basically using everybody up and not spitting them out, but just using them up to achieve his vision of professional wrestling. And basically, yeah, I'm not going to be able to pay you guys a ton because I can't manage money at all. You're going to beat your bodies up. You're going to be addicted to pills and alcohol. And a lot of you are going to die really young, or a lot of you are going to be drooling vegetables and incapable of providing an income for your family. But that's okay because the fans love you and I'll choose you and everything. And yay! Yeah, Paul Heyman for all his positives. Yeah, ECW had some great moments. He was also the mad scientist that liked to treat people like his goddamn experiments, not realizing they're human beings. Just saying. So, a staple of ECW, the Sandman. For good or bad, Sandman is memorable. The entrance was the best goddamn part. Guy couldn't work a lick to save his life, but you know what? He was willing to take bumps. Watch a Sandman match. You don't watch it for him to achieve any kind of decent wrestling move. Talking heads, not the same as it ever was. Not once in a lifetime. Sandman, Bill Alfonso. I want to say right now about Bill Alfonso. Tremendous wrestling referee. Could get a lot of heat. The thing he had with Beulah was memorable for the fact that it was two non-wrestlers having something that had the crowd on their feet. I also cannot watch some of the ECW shows because the whistle just got annoying. Super goddamn annoying. Not annoying, like I want somebody to shut him up, like, no, this is overbearing, and Paul Heyman should have said, okay, let's utilize it occasionally. Fonzie. And Bill Alfonso also, is he okay? Genuinely, is he okay? Did he just yell so much during his career that his voice is shot like that? RVD, Raven, Todd Gordon, who does not look healthy. I really hope he's okay. Sabu, speaking of not looking healthy. Lori, Sandman's ex. Kelly and Tyler, the daughter and son. Tyler, the one that was in the Sandman and Raven angle. He should have been dead a long time ago, is what Lori said. And honestly, after watching this, yeah. And no, I'm not going to say Sandman's perfect. He's not going to say he's perfect. The entrance, the getting the crowd into it. Beer, how old are you, kid? 23, and he's pouring the beer down the kid's goddamn throat. It's kind of funny. Hack was a name that was given to him by his brother. Then he was known as Hardcore Hack, or Hack in WCW. I believe his parents call him that. A couple people do. I think grandkids. Think he has grandkids. Good God. He talks about seeing Worldwide Wrestling Federation footage at around age 5. That's what he wanted to do. He talked about his crimes, his stint in jail for burglary, punched out a guard. Was lucky that he wasn't, given more time. I think he was locked in solitary confinement or put in the hole for a while, I guess. Which could have been solitary confinement, could have just been, I don't fucking know. I never been to jail, thankfully. Don't plan to be. Kind of prefer being, a free man. So, then after he gets out sometime in 1984, there's a Pulsation nightclub. Blonde basically propositions him. She's running the Chippendales. He can become a Chippendales dancer. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about why she thought that would work. But whatever. He did that for about a year. Then he was doing, he got charged with soliciting. He had a group of guys where they would get money from women. They would do this and make more money on the side because Chippendales weren't making that much money. He refused to give up the names of his friends. Met Lori after quitting, being a gigolo, so we say, or doing a little sex work on the side. Nothing wrong with sex work, by the way, as long as you're with consenting adults. Met Lori, whirlwind romance, wanted to get married before she gave birth because she was pregnant, I believe, with Tyler. I think Tyler's the old, no, Kelly might actually be the oldest now that I think about it. He worked construction, and he made a lot of money doing construction. Goes to Joe Goodhart's wrestling school, paid $3,500. We see very little footage of that and him just working on the indies. And he was Surfer Sandman in a wetsuit and everything. Lori was Peaches, his valet. And ECW Upstart when it was Eastern Championship Wrestling. Todd and him are, I guess, still friends. They probably could do like a 2-part Dark Side on ECW if we're being honest, but ECW documentaries have been done fucking to death, so you probably might just want to focus on the particular wrestler. I'd like to see one on Raven if they decide to do that. So, Heyman helped bring the extreme part out of him because Heyman wanted to take over and do the aforementioned stuff where he used people up and got them all addicted to shit because Heyman wasn't willing to ever take bumps, but God, by God, you're going to take all these bumps and do insane things. So the entrance is the beer, the cigarette, the Singapore cane. Raven talked about how it's hard to, once you get a character over, it's hard to keep it over, but Sandman's been able to do that. And if you're smart, you know how to do it. And then we get to how, the Michael Fay thing about in Singapore, he got caned and all that. How, Sandman had, done that and gone to the feud with Dreamer, how he had come up with the idea to come through the crowd. Him and Missy at a club, him and Missy. I mean, that's a recurring thing for Missy Hyatt, apparently. But hey, you know what? Missy Hyatt seems to be doing all right for herself. But the hardcore, is violence with a reason or for a reason. Sure, but you know what? There was a lot in ECW that did take it too far. So, basically, he puts Woman over briefly, the late Nancy Benoit. She did add quite a bit to Sandman's character. Actually did help him a lot, because she could be that vicious vixen, that cold individual, that could look just like, okay, you could look at her, there's no way she could hurt you, and then boom, she would. Paul basically lied about wanting to have Macaulay Culkin come in and play Sandman's kid. And he's like, I got a Macaulay Culkin in the car. Great idea. We'll use Tyler. And there's like, Todd's like, of course that was one of his lies. No, he had no connection to Macaulay Culkin. And I mean, obviously, Paul Heyman was a liar. I mean, still is. They even have a month named after him. So, Raven basically gets Tyler and the wife involved. And this was a pretty good angle. There's been documentary pieces that have been done about that. He talked about how Tyler would always nail the lines and everything, but, Raven could be fucked up and high or drunk or forget his shit, and Tyler would nail his shit. And it would always work. Tyler had that stoic face, and it was nice, but they did also mention, the wife mentioned, even son mentioned, this is starting to take a toll on the family. It was hard to keep kayfabe. And then the crucifixion of Sandman, where the crowd wasn't necessarily happy. Stevie Richards was upset. Oh no, that crackpot's upset. God, oh no. I thought it was funny because I laugh at that shit because to me religion is bullshit with the way people interpret it. It's not if you use it for the right reasons, because it's just a collection of stories and everything, and the idea of being a good person and treating people right. There are those that just use it to justify their own bigotry and hatred as to why I'm so down on religion. And I stand by that, and will continue to stand by that. Kurt Angle was in the building, would not want to be associated with that. And then I still find it funny that Sandman mentioned something. I'm trying to remember what goddamn documentary it was, where he talked about how, Kurt Angle, saw Steve Austin get crucified and everything, and he, did he tell him to apologize? If I recall correctly, wasn't Stone Cold put on like that symbol in late 98, early 99? Kurt Angle was under a developmental deal and also didn't have as many options back then. Also, to be fair, even though, people could argue that was just as bad, they didn't go quite as far with the barbed wire crown and stuff like that. Even though, again, I still find it so funny. Nevertheless, I side with Kurt Angle on that stuff. They had audio from him talking about how he didn't appreciate that. Brief mention, Sandman teaming with Too Cold Scorpio. And how the style got out of hand. The bumps and all that stuff. And here's where I basically want to go with it. This is why I'm down on ECW. And I'm not down on the good parts of ECW, because there were good parts. And there are parts and things you can take and put them in your company and take care of the talent still and have a high-impact style, and as long as you don't overdo it, that's fine. The key word there is overdoing it. Because if you hit somebody with a Singapore cane 10 times, like you did with Dreamer, you hit him with 11 times, then next time you got to hit him 13 times, and then 15 times, and then next time you got to hit him 20 times. Then you got to light the cane on fire and see if you can melt the flesh off his goddamn back. The whole point is ECW got to the point where you couldn't top the shit they were doing without people really getting hurt. New Jack suffered more brain damage than he had. Rest in peace, New Jack, when Vic Grimes, that tub of goo, landed on him. Is Vic Grimes still alive? I'm sorry if he is. Nevertheless, New Jack landed, or had a baked potato land on his goddamn head. RVD nearly has eyelid taken off, or whatever, from a table bump. And, and he talked about that. It was him and Sabu against, was it Hayabusa and the former Hakushi? I think it was. And that was in 98 or something like that. But, like, Dreamer putting Brian Lee through some tables. Or Dreamer going through a bunch of tables. Or, Terry Funk's branding iron. Just all this stuff. It would get, or the barbed wire rope match. And it got to the point you couldn't top the shit. And most of that stuff, except for the Vic Grimes New Jack thing, was done by 97. And they still kept doing shit. It was that people, they would do the flaming table bump. Spike would go through that or whatever. Dreamer would go through that. Spike would do the crowd surf thing, which was cool the first or second time you saw it. And then it just, I'm not saying they overused stuff, but it became a buffet of violence that it started to spoil. It started to overstay its goddamn welcome. Even if ECW had been able to get on television after, after the TNN deal ended, they would have had to have toned some things down because guys were breaking down. And my point is that even though ECW had some good stuff, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't remember the good, let's also remember the fact that people literally broke their bodies and their spirits for that goddamn thing. And what they got to show for it? Hangman. Sandman talked about 27 broken bones. He's going to have like both shoulders replaced and a hip replaced. Well, maybe if you knew how to wrestle, you would have taken care of yourself better. He wrestled with a bad meniscus. Talked about having that shaved or whatever. Like, shaved down and, like, taken care of, but it would have to heal. But he wrestled that night. Pills and then the addictions and stuff like that. He talked about how 3 doctors would just hand out oxys and somas and perks like candy. He ate all of RVD's shrooms after one particular show. Raven had like a disc removed and was on a very addictive narcotic, basically to hide the pain of having a fucking disc goddamn removed. Sandman did too, but then he started to OD because his lips were turning blue. And his wife didn't appreciate that he didn't tell her about the OD. And then he got off, and then talents were getting offers from WCW and WWF. There was a talent agreement between WWF and ECW, and that was, Too Cold Scorpio and a few others, and Brackus got sent down to ECW, and boy, that must have gone well. Al Snow got a second lease on life, which I guess he deserved, kinda. But WCW was taking talents like Public Enemy, which Public Enemy had been there for a bit. They took Mike Whipwreck in 1999. They took a lot of people. Sandman was tired of not getting paid as much by Paul and decided to leave sometime in 98. He signed, I think, in September of 99, October of 99, something like that. He basically has admitted he sat at home for 5 to 6 months getting paid. He got like 250, 300 grand a year, I think, for that year. And he was doing construction. He was still doing stuff. He could, he's done the right things with his money. I think he said that in Hardcore Homecoming or something like that. Or was it Forever Hardcore? Forever Hardcore. That was the thing. The one done by Borash right after Rise and Fall of ECW. The point is, WCW paid him to just sit at home. A company under the TNT TBS umbrella paying talents to just sit at home whether they worked or not. Sound familiar? But anyway, Sandman then showed up. He decided to get on steroids. Now, yeah, I noticed he was bigger. I didn't realize he was on steroids, but whatever. He had roid rage. He was abusive to Lori. That's unforgivable bullshit. He's admitted as much that he fucked up a lot. He poured a beer on his wife's head at one point. So she took $10,000 worth of steroids and dumped them all on the goddamn front lawn. And you know what? Good for her. Good for her. He takes the blame, at least now he does. Granted, once he got off the steroids and got off stuff, but then he was getting, then ECW went out of business. They skipped over NWA TNA. Had a brief stint in WWE CW, where he looked like he had actually dropped quite a bit of weight. He really did look like he had. The zombie, what's in your head, what's in your head. Has overcome addiction. His daughter and son had to bail him out by pulling $10,000 out of ATMs to make bail, and I would think it was $2,000 out of individual ATMs. And the mother was on the phone every single time making sure that she didn't get robbed. What's Sandman's legacy? And I'm not going to worry about these notes again. Sandman's legacy is a guy that will be remembered as somebody that was a hell of an entrance and a gimmick and made an impact. But no, he was not a great wrestler. I don't know if he ever said he was, but he was one of those guys that was a character and memorable for a certain moment in time. But let's be perfectly honest. After 99, was there really anything that he did that was memorable? I mean, yeah, he wrestled in ECW still after being released from WCW. Like, he wrestled, I think, in like later 99 until the thing ended. And yeah, he seems to be doing a little bit better. Hopefully he'll have a redemption if he truly is sorry. But when you abuse your significant other and you do kind of shit like that, you really do deserve to be ridiculed horribly for it. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, woman, man. I don't care who's doing it. A man abusing a woman abusing a man, woman abusing a woman, man abusing a man, non-binary abusing a non-binary. Just, the whole point is you can't do that to your partner. You shouldn't do that in general. But yeah, I stand by everything I said about Sandman. It's going to be interesting to see what Black Saturday brings, meaning next week's episode. And then onwards to the Who Killed WCW series. So yeah, a lot of wrestling talk about the good old days, I guess. Beats some of the weekly stuff going on. Nevertheless, what are your favorite Sandman moments? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm Sean Ritlin. I'll see you soon.